Lady, I'm your knight in shining armor, and I love you. You have made me what I am, and I am yours. My love, there's so many ways I want to say I love you. Let me hold you in my arms forevermore. You have gone and made me such a fool. I'm so lost in your love. Belong together. Won't you believe in my song? Lady, for so many years I thought I'd never find you. You have come into my life and made me whole. Forever, let me wake to see you each and every morning. Let me hear you whisper softly in my ear. In my eyes, I see no one else but you. There's no love like your love. And yes, oh yes, I'll always want you near me. I've waited for you for so long. You're the love of my life. You're my lady. Listen music in King Country. Everyone considered him the coward of the county. He'd never stood one single time to prove the county wrong. His mama named him Tommy, the folks just called him Yellow. But something always told me they were reading Tommy wrong. He was only 10 years old when his daddy died in prison. I looked after Tommy 'cause he was my brother's son. I still recall the final words my brother said to Tommy. Son, my life is over, but yours has just begun. Promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Walk away from trouble if you can. It won't mean you're weak if if you turn the other cheek. I hope you're old enough to understand. Son, you don't have to fight to be a man. There's someone for everyone, and Tommy's love was Becky. In her arms he didn't have to prove he was a man. One day while he was working, the Gatling boys came calling. They took turns at Becky, and there was 3 of them. Tommy opened up the door and saw his Becky crying. The torn dress, the shattered look was more than he could stand. He reached above the fireplace and took down his daddy's picture. As his tears fell on the floor, his daddy's words rang in his head. Promise me, son, not to do the things I've done. Walk away from trouble if you can. It won't mean you're weak if you turn the other cheek. I hope you're old enough to understand. Son, you don't have to fight to be a man. The Gatlin boys just laughed at him when he walked into the barroom. One of them got up and met him halfway across the floor. When Tommy turned around, they said, "Hey, look, old Yellow's leaving." But you could have heard a pin drop, and Tommy stopped and locked the door. 20 years of crawling was bottled up inside him. He wasn't holding nothing back, he let him have it all. When Tommy left the barroom, not a Gatlin boy was standing. He said, "This one's for Becky," as he watched the last one fall. And I heard him say, "I promised you, Dad, not to do the things you've done. I walk away from trouble when I can. Now please don't think I'm weak, I didn't turn the other cheek. And Papa, I sure hope you understand. Sometimes you gotta fight when you're a man." Everyone considered him the coward of the county. On a warm summer's evening, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness, till boredom overtook us and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces and knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he'd finished speaking, he turned back towards the window, crushed out his cigarette and faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. But in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Two young people without a thing say some vows and spread their wings and settle down with just what they need, living on love. She don't care about what's in style, she just likes the way he smiles. It takes more than marble and tile, living on love. Living on love, buying on time. Without somebody, nothing ain't worth a dime. Just like an old-fashioned storybook rhyme, living on love. It sounds simple, that's what you're thinking, but love can walk through fire without blinking. It doesn't take much when you get enough, living on love. Without a thing, children gone, but still they sing side by side in that front porch swing, living on love. He can't see anymore, she can barely sweep the floor. Hand in hand they'll walk through that door, just living on love. Living on love, buying on time. Without somebody, nothing ain't worth a dime. Just like an old-fashioned storybook rhyme, living on love. It sounds simple, that's what you're thinking, but love can walk through fire without blinking. Doesn't take much when you get enough, living on love. No, it doesn't take much when you get enough living on love.
Remember when I was young, and so were you, and time stood still, and love was all we knew. You were the first, so was I. We made love and then you cried. Remember when? Remember when we vowed the vows and walked the walk, gave our hearts, made the start. It was hard. We lived and learned life through curves. There was joy, there was hurt. Remember when? Remember when old ones died and new were born, and life was changed, disassembled, rearranged. We came together, fell apart, and broke each other's hearts. Remember when? Remember when the sound of little feet was the music we danced to week, brought back the love, we found trust, vowed we'd never give it up. Remember when? Remember when 30 seems so now, looking back, it's just a stepping stone to where we are, where we've been. Said we'd do it all again. Remember when? Remember when we said when we turn gray, when the children grow up and move away, we won't be sad, we'll be glad for all the life we've had. And we'll remember when. Remember when. Remember when.
sun-faded smile, truck bed July. You were wearing my old ball cap sideways, saying drive till the road runs dry. There's still dust on the dashboard from that red clay county line. Empty ring box in the glove box where I once rehearsed "You'll Be Mine." Radio's cracked, but it remembers every mile we were sure we knew. There's dust on the dashboard, darling, but my heart's still stuck on you. You circled towns on a wrinkled map, talk big about chasing a dream. I joked I'd run the feed store forever. You said, don't you stay here 'cause of me. There's still dust on the dashboard from that red clay county line. Empty ring box in the glove box where I once rehearsed "You'll Be Mine." Radio's cracked, but it remembers every mile we were sure we knew. There's dust on the dashboard, darling, but my heart's still stuck on you. I heard you made it out to Denver, skyline instead of these pines. Me, I'm still driving this same old pickup, leaving one seat open by my side. Oh, there's still dust on the dashboard from that red clay county line. Empty ring box in the glove box, but I've stopped asking, would you be mine? Radio's cracked, yet it keeps playing all the roads that led to you. There's dust on the dashboard, darling. Guess it's time I wipe it clean of you. born in a trailer off Highway 9. Mama smoked menthols, Daddy drank cheap wine. Learned how to drive in a broke-down Ford, feet on a milk crate, books on the floor. Summer turned 17 in a gravel lot. Kissed a girl from church, said this is all I got. She traced her name on his dusty dash, said take me anywhere that don't smell like gas. Dust on Highway 9, two kids chasing yellow lines, hand-me-down dreams in a hand-me-down ride, laughing at the fear in their parents' eyes. They said this little town ain't taking what's mine. Left nothing but dust, dust on Highway 9. First year in the city, they were dead broke thin. He worked late nights, he stitched clothes by hand. Fought about money, fought about time, made up slow on the laundry line. Then the call came early from her mama's phone. Voice cracked soft, said your daddy's gone. He held her tight in that hallway light, said we ain't going back just 'cause they were right. Oh no, dust on Highway 9, tears on the wheel but they didn't turn side. Rolled right past the exit to their old front drive, sang along loud just to feel alive. Said love's what we make, not what we find. Left roses and dust, dust on Highway 9. Dust on Highway 9. Now there's a car seat strapped in behind, little bare feet kicking at the late day sky. He says, kid, you can go farther than I. And that same old Ford with that same worn sign, they're leaving and leaving, dust on Highway 9.